Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I want to talk about this Death Company Dreadnought. I didn't do a build video for him, but I have a few things I'd like to discuss that went into making him and a few insights I had along the way. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, I'm going to dive right in. This shouldn't take too long. So this character was not terrible to build. And I was just doing it for fun, and that's why I didn't actually film him. But there are several key points that I felt I should take a moment and just point out to people to sort of explain what I thought and where I went wrong, because I did make some mistakes. So the first thing is that you have this thing that can open and close, which is kind of cool. I'm not a huge fan of stuff moving with the models per se. I mean, the arms were supposed to move. I glued them in, and I'll explain why in a moment. There's also the fact that, you know, it's something that could more easily break while you're playing the game, and that kind of sucks. So, I don't know. All around, I prefer just to keep things, once they're posed, that's it. They're good to go. I did that with my Imperial Knight, and I thought I'd do the same with him, and here he is. And he looks okay for the most part. I mean, I know what's wrong, and soon so shall you. But for the most part, this guy looks fine to me. This turret would move up and down if you didn't glue it. I did. These arms could technically move. I guess the forearms still do. I didn't glue them down. They're part of what I did wrong, and I'll talk about that in a second too. But let's start with the legs. So, as you can see on the back here, there is these three different, I don't know what to call them, guides, I guess. And then on this side, there's only one. Well, that's because I put one of them on backwards. This one was supposed to be flipped around. No, I'm sorry. This one was supposed to be flipped around because this chunk of armor went on top of it. So on this side, you can see it's flush. Maybe. Yeah, you can see that one's flush. But this side is not flush. And that's because it's rubbed up against these things instead of nestled into that. By the time I got there, I was so far in the hole, there was no fixing it. So that kind of sucked. But again, I don't really think it's easy to tell unless you grab my model and start looking at it. And if I'm playing, no one's going to do that. The second thing I really messed up was the arms. I just got them on wrong. So it doesn't have as much range of motion going in the right direction. This one should have basically been flipped over. And that comes down to the instructions. So it was very difficult to understand how these parts went on to make them basically face the appropriate directions so they worked. And I don't know, maybe I'm just lame, but I really did struggle with it. And so I don't know why. I thought I had it, but by the time I was ready to put them on, they were already glued in place. They were already ready to go, and they were done. So that's why he's kind of posed the way he is. These guns technically can move as well, but I think I glued them in pretty well. The only thing that I will give this model that made it somewhat easy is the feet were very malleable so that you could make sure they got a good contact point on the base. As far as what these two things down here are for that are sort of on the legs, I have no idea. I think they're aesthetic. This one isn't in there all the way it looks like, which kind of sucks. But I did the best I could, and I think it's glued in anyway, so it's probably fine. But I mean, as you can tell, I really struggled to get this model done properly. I think that they're supposed to just be lore because they don't do anything for the structure of the model. They're not holding anything on or making it stronger or anything like that. So I'm not sure. They were kind of a pain in the butt to make because they're so tiny while you're putting it together. So I'm not sure whether or not they're necessary or not. These claws, they were okay to put on, but I will be honest, even getting them into position was a little bit annoying because they didn't want to stay even after I glued them, so you had to hold them for a little bit and let it dry. And if you're impatient, which I kind of was, that's not good. The only thing that I could say that was super easy is that this piece that holds the legs together, The instructions were very clear about which side went forward, so that was good, and that helped. As far as the legs are concerned, I can tell you again, it did not look clear to me in the instructions that I made this mistake before it was too late. And same with the arms. So just some things to keep in mind. And, oh yeah, look, there's some range of motion too. I completely forgot about that. So that's kind of cool. And I mean, some part of me enjoys having the model be able to be moved around a little bit because, I don't know, gets in touch with my inner 13-year-old playing with G.I. Joes again. But I could do without it just to make it easier to keep things nice and secure and easier to work with, quite frankly. Now, oddly enough, like these two pipe things were supposed to be attached. And again, I messed up there. I mean, literally, I couldn't have screwed this up more without it basically falling apart, I guess. I thought it was ridiculous that I had to put these together the way I did. I mean, you have to take the two tubes and then glue them together and then put them up in here. And I guess this one's about to have some kind of malfunction because it popped off. You can probably see the little gap there. But as I sit here and scrutinize this, I am actually a little bit ashamed of it. And I'm glad I didn't film it because it would have been just a disaster. And it also took forever. That's another reason that I'm glad I didn't film it. It actually took me almost 3 hours to put this together. When you look at the instructions, they are insane. There's just so many steps. So basically you build the entire top part, you set it aside, then you build the legs. And the legs are a lot of pieces, you know? I don't get it. I'm not entirely sure why they went quite so ham with it. I mean, you're putting on pieces of armor and everything else. It was a little crazy. So, but anyway, that is the Dreadnought. It's pretty much I love the way he looks. I think he's cool when he's painted. You know, it's not going to matter so much that I made these mistakes. Heck, even now it's fine. It's definitely going to be functional. I would have rather done it all right, but I learned a lot in doing it. And I guess that's another point about building in general is that, yeah, I screwed him up and I made some big mistakes. I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but I will say this. I learned so much about building vehicles by doing this one and making those mistakes that I think I'll be able to understand the instructions of other vehicles in the future better. I've built more regular models than vehicles overall, but I mean, that makes sense because oftentimes your battle line units have 9-10 models to build. And obviously this is just one dude by himself. So you don't get as much practice with these as you do building individuals, monsters, people, whatever. So it's always a joy to learn more about this kind of stuff. Now, he was very expensive in the sense that he came in a $225 box. So if I am beating myself up over anything, it's that I, didn't pay quite enough attention to end up making so many mistakes. Well, let me take that back. It's not about paying attention so much as it is interpreting what I was seeing incorrectly. But anyway, I think that's about it that I need to say about this guy. If you have any questions specific to this build or you've done it, I could probably answer them at this point. Just let me know in the comments and I will see what I can do. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching the video today. And this is Robert with Society Case Files signing off.